Welcome back to the Takeout. The Trump administration is ending a specialized LGBTQ youth suicide hotline next month. It was used by more than 1 million people since the program started 3 years ago. Earlier, I spoke with Jaymes Black, CEO of the Trevor Project. Take a listen. Explain what change has been made. Some of this can get lost because the government's difficult to track, and these big offices and organizations are difficult to track. What's been changed?
What's been changed is that come July 17th, that the specialized youth hotline for LGBTQ plus youth, also known as Press 3, as part of the 988 network, will be eliminated. And what that means is that the hundreds of counselors that have been specifically trained to understand the stress factors and risk factors of LGBTQ plus youth will not be the counselors who are interacting with those callers or those texters or those folks who decide to use chat. And what that also means is that there's an impact because care for a marginalized community or a high-risk community in this case is very specific to the type of counselors that they need to talk to, right? So when you think about that after July 17th, that they could be interacting with someone who does not understand the specific stress factors that are challenged or that LGBTQ plus youth are challenged with, that's another risk factor.
What the administration's been saying is they don't want to silo things. They don't want to have things just in one bucket. They'd rather open it up to everybody to help. Is there some value in fresh eyes or fresh ears listening to what these needs are?
Well, what I would say is that when this line was established some years ago, the administration and the Democrats and Republicans agreed that we needed a specific line dedicated to 3 communities that were high risk. Those are veterans, Spanish speakers, and LGBTQ plus youth, because the data tells us that understanding that these high risk communities have to have very specific care is connected to better survival rates. So it's not really about fresh eyes. It's really about the commitment and the unity and the bipartisan unity and the bipartisan legacy that was established some years ago around this evidence-based, this data-driven decision around having an LGBTQ plus youth hotline.
You see those numbers, an enormous number of calls since 2022, 1.3 million. Your organization has stood up its own hotline or would stand up its own hotline to support if there's a pressing need?
Well, we do have a hotline, and we have a hotline that we call Trevor Classic. This is the hotline that we've had for the past 27 years.
Do you expect more calls now?
We do expect more calls. And what the partnership with the government allowed us to do is to maximize and double our impact. Now, with this latest change, they're severely limiting our ability to impact a marginalized community.
It's been a decade now. It's been a whole decade since the Supreme Court ruling in Obergefell. I suppose we see the politics of this, though, maybe have shifted a little bit in those 10 years with this latest election and with some of the changes being ordered by the administration. Where do you think we are 10 years after Obergefell?
Interesting. You know, when we think about the mental health of LGBTQ plus youth, which is the business that Trevor is in, understanding that we don't really think about politics. What we want to get down to is the human element of this need, and that is that it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat. If you require crisis services, then you should have that, and that should be an American value. And look, as someone who was married in another country, I understand the significance of Obergefell, and the only thing that I wish is that people understand that there's a human element to the rights that LGBTQ plus youth and LGBTQ plus adults require in this country.
We see this Gallup poll, the most recent, shows Republican support eroding now for same-sex marriage, 10 years after a lot of people thought this debate was over. What do you make of that?
I think we're politicizing human issues. And I really think that that's the issue here, is that we do not need to politicize issues that are human issues or not even issues. They are rights. They are everyday needs and wants and desires of all Americans. And now we've started to politicize those. Just like we're thinking about mental health of LGBTQ plus youth and we're depoliticizing that issue, it's the same thing with marriage.
Jaymes Black covered a lot of ground. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.